Net neutrality is dead, at least for now. In a 3-2 vote today, the Federal Communications Commission approved a measure to remove the tough net neutrality rules that put in place just 2 years ago. Those rules prevented internet providers from blocking and throttling traffic and offering paid fast lanes. They also classified internet providers as Title II common carriers in order to give the measure strong legal backing. Today's vote undoes all of that. It removes the Title II designation, preventing the FCC from putting tough net neutrality rules in place even if it wanted to. And, it turns out, the Republicans now in charge of the FCC really don't want to. The new rules largely don't prevent internet providers from doing anything. They can block, throttle, and prioritize content if they wish to. The only real rule is that they have to publicly state that they're going to do it. Opponents of net neutrality argue that the rules were never needed in the first place because the internet has been doing just fine. The internet wasn't broken in 2015. We were not living in some digital dystopia, Commission Chairman Ajit Pai said today. The main problem consumers have with the internet is not and has never been that their internet provider is blocking access to content. It's been that they don't have access at all. Broadly be true, it's false to say that all of the harms these rules were preventing are imagined, even with the rules in place. We saw companies block their customers from accessing competing apps, and we saw companies implement policies that clearly advantage some internet services over others. In place, they'll have free rein to do that to an even greater extent. Supporters of net neutrality have long argued that, without these rules, internet providers will be able to control traffic in all kinds of anti-competitive ways. Many internet providers now own content companies, see Comcast and NBC Universal, and they may seek to advantage their own content in order to get more eyes on it, ultimately making it more valuable. Meanwhile, existing behaviors like zero rating, where certain services don't count toward your data cap, already encourage usage of some programs over others. If during the early days of Netflix, you were free to stream your phone carrier's movie service instead, we might not have the transformational TV and movie company it's turned into today. One of the two Democrats on the commission, Jessica Rosenworcel, called today's vote a rash decision that puts the FCC on the wrong side of history, the wrong side of the law, and the wrong side of the American public. This vote, Rosenworcel says, gives internet providers the green light to go ahead and discriminate and manipulate your internet traffic, something she says they have a business incentive to do. This is not good, Rosenworcel says. Not good for consumers. Not good for businesses. Not good for anyone who connects and creates online. Commissioner Clyburn, the other Democrat, said the implications of today's vote are particularly damning for marginalized groups, like communities of color, that rely on platforms like the internet to communicate. No one will be able to stop internet providers if they allow the social media services these groups rely on to slow down, blocking the dissemination of information, Clyburn said. At the beginning of this proceeding, the Commission has made it very clear that it isn't really interested in most public comments either, despite a requirement to accept and consider them. The Commission has stated time and again that it only values legal arguments, so we may see complaints that millions of consumer comments were ignored, even if they don't include the spam. The net neutrality proceeding was still the most commented ever at the Commission. First time in more than a decade that the FCC has actually been opposed to net neutrality. The FCC has been promoting open internet rules since the mid-2000s. Though it wasn't until 2010 that they were turned into formal regulations. In 2014, those were overturned in court after the FCC was sued by Verizon. The court said that the FCC could try again using Title II, and so it did that in 2015. Those rules, which have been in place for 2 years, are the ones getting overturned today.